Welcome to Muffin Talk.
Kia ora and welcome to Muffin Talk. This program is brought to you by the initiative Titipounamu, Study and Joy. My guest today is Father Kevin Waldie. Father Kevin, a warm welcome and hi to Muffin Talk.
Thank you very much. It's always great to talk to you about it.
Father Kevin is a Marist father, originally from Timaru, and he is a Bible scholar and lecturer at Titipounamu Catholic Theological College. And as we are moving toward the new church here with a focus on the Gospel of Luke, I think that Father Kevin is certainly one of the most enthusiastic Bible scholars when it comes to this often called Marian Gospel. Father Kevin, were you first passionate for St. Luke, or were you first a Marist father?
First of all, I was a Marist father. I went to the Marist Seminary in Hawke's Bay and did my training there. And during that training, the Society of Mary New Zealand decided to introduce some university years in the middle of all that as well. And so then I went to university and I studied various languages and then went back to the seminary and was ordained a priest. And as it happened, I ended up working in parishes in Wellington for a start, out at Island Bay, and then in the inner city at St Mary the Angels. And then eventually the society needed to find someone who would come back to teach scripture in our seminary. And so I then went off to the United States, first of all, and started studying biblical languages at the Catholic University of America in Washington, D.C. And then after that first year, I thought, I'm getting into the real American thing of going full on to do your master's and then to do your doctorate. And I knew that eventually the province in New Zealand would say, would you come back immediately to start teaching? So I thought, well, the easiest track to take might be to do that initial year at Washington and then to move to the Biblicum in Rome and get the licentiate. And so the licentiate is a 4-year degree, but I'd already done the 1 year in Washington. So then I did the 3 years to get my license, which is longer than a normal license of theology, which is just 2 years, because of the languages and the courses you do. So there, I ended up having a great interest as a Marist father, of course, in the way Our Lady is presented in Luke's Gospel, especially in those first couple of chapters. So that's basically how I ended up doing what I do now.
Yeah. And we are going to have you on Zoom on Monday and 7 o'clock, 7 to 8:30. And the question that we are asking is, St. Luke, how do we think of him as an author?
Exactly.
And when I hear this, I also think of the pictures, the paintings that I see of St. Luke, where he is painting and he seems to be a doctor and Mary is there. How do we think of him as an author?
Well, I think you've got to look at the text itself to really understand who's behind this. And I think you see by the emphases, by the way he's written the text, what the man Luke is really like. And I think that's the thing, that there's a great deal of focus upon women in his text. Now, obviously, Jesus is the main character, but there is this juxtaposition of male and female characters. And that takes you into a world that is the Greco-Roman world, in actual fact, not quite like the beginning to Matthew's Gospel, which is very much the Jewish world, where the male characters tend to dominate the story. Whereas you find in the beginning of Luke that there is a male there, first of all, Zechariah, but then who pops into the picture but Elizabeth? And then we find there's another male character, Joseph, and who then pops into the picture but Elizabeth's cousin, Mary. And so you begin in this wonderful way of seeing these male and female characters, but often the orientation of Luke is going to play up something of the feminine in the text. So I think that's an interesting way to think of Luke, with a focus that's quite specific in actual fact. And that then is spelled out by the way he's written the rest of his text.
So we said that we look at the different stages of formation of the Gospels. What can we expect with this?
Well, I think you have to say, where do you think in the 1st century CE, the Common Era, where do you see him writing? You know, what is typical about the way in which he's telling the Jesus story? So that when you see this male-female sort of combination and the focus on the Gentiles and things like that, and a very sophisticated storytelling technique and content. And I think you have to say, look, this is indicative of the world towards the end of the 1st century. And in particular, there's got to be the fall of Jerusalem about the year 70 CE. So I think, therefore, you've got to have in mind Luke is writing with that background in the picture all the time. And so Jesus' death, obviously, is a key moment in the text. And therefore, that's being recalled, but modeled for us in a particular way through the characters that Luke introduces us to.
Sounds very interesting. I'm looking forward to it. We don't want to tell too much,
No,
so that people come on Monday,
that's
but
right.
also they can ask any questions that refer to Luke and to the Gospel of Luke, because that's also a wonderful opportunity to have you, as somebody who has spent many years with the Gospel according to Luke. And that gives us a good way to prepare us for the next church year.
That's right.
So thank you very much, Father Kevin. And I'll see you then on Monday on Zoom, 7 o'clock.
We look forward to it. We look forward to it. Okay.
Thank
you, Beata. Great.
Out there, heroic peace is calling. In the bonds of love we meet. For the world, a new day dawning and shine.